afternoon to you all, and I welcome everybody to our daily news broadcast on Wednesday, 13th of January of 2021. Hello, how are you? How is everything out there? Very, very wet and drizzly and unpleasant out here in London suburbs today. In fact, last night when I went to have my dinner, it became extremely cold. It felt almost like -6, and I really was a bit sort of astonished by the fact that during the last 2 nights I would leave my town and start walking, and it was quite warm and pleasant, around sort of +1, +2 degrees Celsius. By the time I got into the forest, started walking, it became absolutely polar and very, very, very cold. No icy winds though, just very, very cold air, and so I'm hoping that tonight, due to this rain, perhaps it is not going to be as cold, because guess what? Even with my kind of arty conditions kit that I wear when it's very cold outside, I was still feeling chilly. So very, very strange indeed. I wonder whether we're going to have any of that weather here in Call of the Sea, the game I'm introducing as part of my broadcast at the moment, because we've seen some tropical islands and some tropical weathers, but you know, she's an explorer and she might be, in order to find out what happened to her husband, go to some other areas of the planet and discover some snowstorms and really cold weather. We'll find out. Anyway, so I have been, as always, indoors every day, the whole day, 22 hours a day indoors, which indeed is becoming very, very difficult. But these 22 hours are spent actively. I enjoy my online community, and indeed, as you've seen with our Warzone broadcasts, we get very, very busy with social interactions and our community participation. So that's truly wonderful, and I really, really love my community, and I truly appreciate everybody who is participating every single day. As you've seen, quite a few of our squad mates are always waiting for me to come on and basically for the broadcast to kick off, and therefore we start with our battles in that deadly map of Verdansk, and that is what we'll do today, also around 5 o'clock. So we had a few news coming in on the wire overnight, and I also had quite a few postings from various community members that were giving us some food for thought in terms of their creations, their content creation. And as you know, lots of our friends are doing streams on YouTube and Twitch, and you have quite a variety of different streamers. Not everybody is dedicated to one game or to one particular genre. You have those who are creating their own costumes and doing cosplay, which means they present various characters from different games live online, and some of the streams are very, very interesting. Others are doing this on Twitter. So if you go to my Twitter, and you really should subscribe to my Twitter, because at the end of the day, that Twitter gives you a shortcut to lots of our community members, as well as to hot off the press industry news. If you want to be kept abreast with everything that's happening out there in the wild, you want to be following the news on my Twitter. So just hit that button, follow, and indeed you'll be getting everything every single day. What I do generally is I go through the news early in the day, and then I read my postings and some of those things which I consider to be of interest to everyone here live online during my daily news bulletin, which is the news slot that I had reintroduced to my broadcast at the beginning of this year. Anyway, so if you were to have a look, you'll see we have some very interesting contributions from our friends, and we have Wayne Talbot sending us some of those very, very wonderful illustrations that he had created for various graphic novels. We have Sean Young from Blade Runner. We have some other characters in there, Nosferatu, that is, I see. It's Nosferatu for a wonderful looking cover. And then we have the Broker as well, and published by Rogue Comics by the looks of it. Oh, the other one, also Nosferatu, is also published by the same company, so that looks very, very good. Looking at Sean Young portrait in there, very, very good. 2019 it says there. And if you're interested, you can just hit him up on Twitter at Wayne Talbot, and comic book writer and colorist on the Broker and Nosferatu and Rogue Comics Islands, DM for the Irish podcast Place D&D, and he is based in Dublin, Ireland, and you can see also his picture there on his Twitter. So absolutely most highly recommended. Obviously, if you need a colorist, if you need an illustrator, if you want somebody to work on your graphic novel, if you want to be participating in anything else that requires illustrations. Maybe you want some illustrations for your blog, right? Maybe you want some drawings for something that you are trying to present to your community. Then hit him up with a message, and I'm sure he'll be glad to contribute. The most mesmerizing posting of today is coming from Lana Janine. I'm not familiar with this community member, but I got a posting which is giving us the most wonderful outfit. I have not seen such beautiful outfit ever before, and it's very similar to what we have in Destiny and also in Skyrim. So if you're interested, you need to have a look, because the mask and everything else looks absolutely out of this world. It looks like one of the Guardians, you know, when you have like a big headwear, like a big helmet with something else on top, and it's beautifully colored in crimson. Really, honestly, this character and the creation looks extraordinarily deadly. Apparently, this is a mask which is not game specific, but it's been created by a company in France, and I'll tell you exactly what the company is called. The Legends d'Azur, right? The Legends d'Azur. If you go to Lana Janine's Twitter, you'll see the posting right on the top, and you can access the information related to the company. So if you are wanting to have some absolutely extraordinary costumes for cosplay live, hit them up with a message, or indeed if you want them to create something for a special kind of event where you have graphic novel artists meeting up or anything related to video gaming. These guys are going to be indeed your bread and butter. Excuse me, I'm losing it. Something's gone into my throat. Just bear with me. I need to clear my throat. I apologise. It wasn't just something. It's muesli that I've eaten earlier. I want to see the other mask, which I found to be very stunning. Alexandria Brangman is another person who has given us a wonderful mask, and you need to have a look at that as well. I had retweeted it, and she said it is something out of Skyrim, but really I've not seen this character in Skyrim, and it looks really mouth-watering, beautifully designed, very similar to the costume I just presented. So let me see, just bear with me, some sort of problem in there, not retweeting as it should. We'll retweet again, and we'll go back to our, let me see, oh yeah, I've got it now. I've got it there, yep, fine. It just didn't register properly for some reason, don't know why. And yeah, so we told you all about the costumes and the masks. So we have a posting from PUBG Mobile today. Has anyone ever told you that you need to lighten up? Our lightweight installation function offers the same gaming experience to you, but with 7 smaller file size optimized downloads. So if you are, like myself, a fan of PUBG Online, of PUBG Mobile, then absolutely have a look at it. There's a nice video attached to it as well. You can use tentacles as a weapon in Returnal. Discover everything you need to know about the arsenal you'll wield in At House Maquis' upcoming sci-fi shooter. We're getting some news from PlayStation, and we talked about Returnal yesterday. You will be familiar with a wonderful trailer they released last year. It's one of those PS5 exclusives, and they're telling us that we are going to be able to use tentacles. So they're asking us whether we watched any other videos on PlayStation. The answer is no, we have not. We've shared about Returnal. Oh yeah, these ones we have watched. I thought they were referring just to the recent ones during the last couple of days. With the latest update, we wanted to share some more details about the gameplay. So with Returnal, we aim to blend a unique mix of game styles. Combines our trademark explosive arcade action, responsive controls and bullet hell gameplay, and this time it's all presented in third person. There will be fast and frenetic combat and intense gunplay, and also some rich exploration and traversal as you explore the procedurally generated environments of Atropos. We created Returnal to be a challenging and rewarding experience with enough variety and depth to keep you always coming back to one more go. In fact, I was just thinking aloud yesterday here on air. You know, if you are just a solo gamer and you're not participating in major multiplayers like Destiny and Elder Scrolls and Warzone and etc., then you really can play games in a linear fashion. You know, you start out in a game and you finish it and you carry on with campaigns. And But I think the current trends which bring in your own community with continuous incessant activity, which is also hectic and energetic as well as never ending, is preventing you from accessing some of these, because quite frankly, if I'm spending 6 hours a day with my community every single day in a specific game, well, guess what, there's no time to be accessing all the other ones. So I really have to work out in my mind how to really tackle this, because there are so many wonderful games out there. And honestly, if you look at Game Pass, with the EA inclusion, you're getting games like Star Wars and Dragon Age and Mass Effect and Battlefield and all the other big AAA blockbusters presented to us by Electronic Arts over the last decade. And simply, you're kind of astonished. You don't know where to start. And that is indeed coupled with games like Skyrim and Oblivion and Dragon Quest XI, Final Fantasy 15. I mean, goodness me, so many different games to enjoy in there. So I really look forward to lots of those additions to PlayStation catalog. I'm really a bit in two minds about this backward compatibility they talked about, because quite frankly, if they want to wrestle with Xbox is going to have on the new console 100% full backward compatibility. So any title released on Xbox will be able to get played on the new console. You just need to stick in the disc, or indeed if you have a digital download, then you crack on with the gameplay. And they didn't do this for PlayStation, and they said they're looking at backward compatibility for PS4 games, but that's just a tiny little fraction of 15-20 years of gaming that will go back to mid-90s. And I really think that they need to rework PS1 games as well, because they're really absolutely incredible. And I mean, any of us who kind of grew up with PlayStation 1, we know how beautiful these games were, how much we enjoyed them. Silent Hill 1, for instance. I mean, how on earth are you to play today unless you are having the access to the old console? And it's an issue on the tech side of things with the graphics and everything else. But I think they really need to consider this quite seriously. And also, I really don't think that it is going to work in a medium term, even if they're not releasing some big titles through the streaming services, because they will have to wrestle with this major marketing campaign that Xbox has. $1 for 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. I mean, that is just simply unbeatable. And I'm sure the vast majority of people who are on Xbox will subscribe. And don't forget, very shortly we'll have also the service offered through xCloud, which means you will not need to be buying a console in order to play the titles. Perhaps not all the titles, but the vast majority. And I listened to one of their specialists yesterday on Larry's and Jeff's podcast on their YouTube channel, and he really talked about that being the next step. He said we're not there yet, but we are really striving towards giving that degree of opportunity and option to every one of our community members. So if they want to be traveling and if they want to be carrying their console together with them, and don't forget, the new Xbox One Series S is really tiny. You can put it in your pocket. And that is also phenomenal, which means you can easily take it with you if there is a need, but it doesn't have a disk drive. That's the downside of it. For anybody who has got lots of disks, people will pull out disks and they won't take the boxes with them, but you'll get CD wallets, the big ones. You can put a few hundred games in there, and it all comes into your suitcase with ease, and you can just use the discs. You will know backward compatibility gives you the option. You stick the disc in, but I really think they really do. You need to do away with this. I don't know whether this is to do. Well, anyway, that's a discussion for some other day. So I really think that PlayStation have to consider some of these issues, because generally, the community will be swinging towards the publisher who's offering the exclusive on the first day through streaming services. It's just the ease of use. I mean, honestly, I've been a video and DVD and Blu-ray and Laserdisc collector for many decades, and really all of my collection, literally everything I've got on physical drives, is occupying space, and some of it also aged, which means the performance of a film on Laserdisc or DVD today, after it's been bought 20 years ago, is not going to be particularly good. They did say at the time that there's going to be no degrading, but they couldn't predict what will happen to the material, as at the time it was brand new, just freshly invented. So the glass material of Laserdiscs apparently turned out to be particularly sensitive, and I have quite a few brand new discs that I bought in the late 90s, and were still in factory wrappers at the time, and they really don't perform too well today compared to, for instance, Ultra HD, Netflix, and Amazon Prime streaming service that give you absolutely perfect picture. I've got to say, I watch now loads of films on my new Sony Bravia setup, and all of them, the vast majority, were through Prime, Amazon Prime that is, and Netflix. These subscription services I use for watching films and television series, and the picture quality purely through streaming rather than downloaded content was incredible. I mean, honestly, it's mouth-watering. Never any ghosting, glitches, any problems at all. So, quite frankly, you know, and also the best thing of all is that you can just type the title in there and it pops up and you can watch it. The other downside is they keep rotating, and you will get sometimes titles disappearing. Like, for instance, last night I watched Robert Benton's film Twilight from 1998, and you have it's a true delight. It's a real curiosity. It didn't really receive a great amount of publicity at the time of its release, and you have quite a selection of heavyweights in there. You have Paul Newman playing the lead character, and you know, he was one of the most treasured, beloved actor studio performance in Hollywood for a good 50 years. Susan Sarandon you have, and she is playing the big bad girl in there. You have Gene Hackman. You have a very early role of Reese Witherspoon, and this whole selection of other people who are participating in there, and it's a true delight. And the film was expiring on the server yesterday, so I just spotted it and I said, I need to watch it before it disappears, and therefore it's gone today already, so it's no longer there available for your viewing pleasure. And what I'm trying to say is that that is the downside, and there's a limited number of titles. But then on the other hand, if you're a collector, you still may purchase films online through Amazon, and they will stay in your account, and you can build your library, which is virtual, instantly accessible wherever you are worldwide. And you know, this is the way to build your collections today. The quality of the videos in there, if for instance they were to be degrading or decreasing, they will remaster those films and they will provide you with a brand new copy as time goes by. So therefore you will be spared of you know, that investment that would have been in vain. I mean, think about VHS tapes. You will keep them today for the covers and for the boxes alone, because the actual material inside of a VHS tape is of a very poor quality. It's almost unviewable, and you know, sad as it may sound, still you will get rare horror films on videotapes that are very much in demand, and people pay hundreds of dollars for some of the old tapes. They will never watch the film because the tape is unwatchable, but they'll keep it as a souvenir, as a collectible of a film that was still, well, today considered to be fairly rare, and maybe had just like one run, which was limited, a few thousand tapes, etc, etc. So you know, you'll keep the collector's items. You always get people who want to be keeping physical format, but purely in terms of the quality, the entire industry, that includes obviously video gaming, is going down the road of instant access, and that's instant access on any platform. So you've got to embrace it. If you are resisting it, you will be losing altogether access to the services elsewhere. And I have actually some friends who are dedicated to 35mm and 60mm, you know, the classical film format, and they do not want to watch anything released on digital. So, you know, when digital was introduced to cinemas, which was at the beginning of the last decade, then they still had quite a few cinemas that were screening films on 16mm and 35 and 16mm, and today they have hardly anything to watch, because the vast majority of films have been transferred to digital formats, and therefore when they go to National Film Theatre or any other cinemas in London, some of the indie rep cinemas, they get them all on digital drives, and therefore they don't want to watch this because they consider the image to be far too sharp, razor sharp, and quite different to what they experienced originally, and they also think this is not a proper representation of a particular film. To tell you the truth, I had some very fierce, heated discussions with some of my older friends and people who are sort of more mature than myself about this particular issue. People who watched films since the war, since the Second World War in cinemas, and they all pursue the same viewpoint. Film is providing you with a product that comes out of Dreams Factory, and you are watching a representation of our reality, which needs to be visibly different. So it should not be exactly the same, because the beauty of watching Antonioni or Bergman or, I don't Christopher Nolan, any recent directors, Martin Scorsese, is in you watching a film on the screen and knowing that this is not the way things are, right? So when you are out there in life, everything is razor sharp, like a documentary style. A picture is what you are getting when you walk around your town, and when you're watching a film, you can tell straight away this is a film. So that's one of the points that we're pursuing. I sort of disagreed, and I quite preferred watching Remastered Prince because for the first time I can see films like Gun Crazy or Detour on Prince which were watchable, and not just that, looked like brand new. I watched films from the 1920s, from the teens of the last century, that looked absolutely brand new. All the remastered silent classics looked absolutely phenomenal. But my friends still persisted. So recently, since I managed to get my Sony Bravia setup going, I kind of experimented a bit, and I wanted to see some of the older films and want to see whether it's exactly the same experience. And I've got to say, their viewpoint did come up, because it did depend on the way films were indeed remastered and the way they were converted to digital format. If they appeared to be far too razor sharp and the grainy texture, which was part and parcel of the actual film cinematic experience of that particular film, was gone, then the perception and the viewing of that film was completely altered. And I've got to say, one of those was Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. I watched it several times, in fact, recently, and I really found myself to be kind of almost like watching a film I've never seen before, and I did see it a few times in the past. So it just felt significantly different. The perception of that film was altered due to the technology input, the way the film was converted to digital format, the way it was cleaned up. And Rashomon was the other, in fact, another Kurosawa film, beautifully remastered, but just the experience of it. I watched Rashomon and said, hang on a minute, I've seen Rashomon at least half a dozen times during the last 20 years, and I don't really recognize it like watching the film. So their viewpoint was very, very pertinent and very important based on their many decades of viewing experience. And still, I think this is the way forward, and maybe this is the way it's going to come across with some films, but overall we'll have the material that is not fading, that is not being degraded. And I think when it comes to the world of video gaming, this is the future. We simply have to embrace it. And the old days of queuing up at the front of shops in order to get the first copy when it comes out at midnight are long gone, and we're not going to go back to that as far as the physical formats are concerned. The special editions and the big box sets will still be produced in a limited quantity, and they will be produced on the basis they'll be based on customer demand. If there are orders coming in, they'll produce exactly the number which is required, instead of producing many that will not be sold and therefore amounting to a complete waste. Next, join PS Plus and get Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Greedfall for PS4 plus Maneater on PS5 throughout January. So if you are on PlayStation, first of all, go to PS Plus and download these games immediately. The trouble I had recently in December and also this month as well is that the big blockbuster game last month was Just Cause 4, I think, and in here we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We can't easily get them into our library. We have got to be downloading them in full in order to register. So for instance, I didn't download the game in full due to my storage space on PlayStation 4, and it didn't register. So I looked it up yesterday, and the game, the last month's exclusive, was not there. So I have to go to PlayStation Complain and find out what the reason is, because they changed it. Previously, you could just get these games that would sit in your library, and that was it. But it looks to me like they want you to be downloading the game in full, playing it, and therefore you will acquire it, or something like that. So I have to contact PlayStation, to clarify. So I just want to warn you that if you also had the same sort of experience, let's say you download the game and the month's gone and you're not getting it anymore, well, you need to inform them about this, because these are games offered as bonuses. Because we are subscribing to the service, we need to be able to keep them in our library, and for whatever reason they're not popping up in there. So that is of concern. I need to investigate it further. Anyway, the ones offered this month are AAA blockbuster Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a great game. I played it and also introduced it here on my channel a little while back. And Greedfall. Greedfall is a very good RPG, very similar to Dishonored and Age of Empires, a combination of the two, a bit of strategy, a bit of RPG, a bit of fighting. And then you have Maneater. And Maneater I've not tried, so I can't really comment, but Maneater is for PS5 subscribers. We heard that Call of Duty is down, and Black Ops, Cold War, Warzone, and Modern Warfare all affected. Well, I hope that this is not the case today in the afternoon. This has been reported about 12 hours ago, and I'm not sure whether all regions were affected, just the regions in the US, North America. We have to see. But let me see what they said. The news came on GameSpot.com, and they said Activision is currently investigating a service outage affecting Call of Duty games across every platform. So it's basically server based, and if you're having problems connecting to Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, Modern Warfare or Warzone, you are not the only one. Activision is currently reporting service outages across each game affecting every platform, PSN, Xbox Live, Battle.net, etc, etc. So they're trying to correct the issue, and Bulletin placed its online services status tracker. Okay, we'll have a look at that. Certainly hoping that this is not affecting us anymore today. All these GTA 6 rumors had us feeling nostalgic, and here is a look back at every Grand Theft Auto protagonist. So you are getting a thorough analysis of excuse me, every character. I need to get my voice back. I'm not sure what's causing this. I'm drinking that wonderful grapefruit and ginger tea, which is providing me with a fantastic remedy, but still I'm not sure what's happening with my throat. So the characters that we had in Grand Theft Auto from the beginning are being described on GameSpot.com, written by Alessandro Filiari. So if you are interested, head to my Twitter. You get all those descriptions, all the characters on there, the protagonists. GTA London 1969, London protagonists. GTA 2, Claude Speed. Then you have Grand Theft Auto 3, Claude Speed again. Vice City, Tommy Vercetti. Carl C.J. Johnson. Then you have Tony Cipriani. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. Victor Vance for Vice City Stories. Niko Bellic. That's Grand Theft Auto 4, we all remember him. Then Lost and Damned, Johnny Kleibitz, Fernando Lopez for The Ballad of Gay Tony. We have Chinatown Wars, Huang Li, Michael DeSanta and company for Grand Theft Auto 5. Then again Franklin Clinton, Trevor Phillips, online protagonist, etc, etc. And we've come to the end of all these protagonists, so that's very good. And they're asking who was your favorite, so head to my Twitter, have a look at the article, analyze the description, and provide them with some thoughts on who really you consider to be your own personal favorite. Rust PS4 version incoming as popular survival sim gets an age rating. Right, so let's see what's happening in there. Shake it all off, they said. And Rust, the survival sim that's been available on PC what seems like an eternity, could finally be coming to PlayStation 4 in the near future. Indeed, Rust has been rated by the ESRB, which suggests it's almost ready to be released. The game was originally meant to hit consoles last year. After months of silence from developer Facepunch Studios, the company officially delayed the title in December. So Rust has really blown up over the last few weeks. A number of high-profile streamers and content creators have been absolutely hammering it. Surprise, surprise. They're saying in here that these guys are accidentally picking up on the game. They're absolutely not, because the game's going to be released on all platforms. They have been brought in and supported by the developer. It's as simple as that. So this is the way you create hype. Anyway, I just think it's very, very wrong to be portraying that as being spontaneous and coming out of the blue sky. Alright, so that is what we are getting about Rust. I'm also quite curious about Rust. I'll certainly try it once it gets to PS4. I've got to say I neglected my Steam account. I've not played anything on PC probably for the last 4 years, which is for the first time ever. Always had some PC games, but you know, it's the ease of use, it's everything else you get on consoles, and it's the communities as well. And I really think the division between proprietary communities attached to a single platform will be gone with every game going down the cross-platform access, and we've seen that with Apex and with PUBG and Warzone. The communities became much more vibrant with very many participants, and therefore very, very lively and very energetic, and that is the way we want it to be with games like Destiny and all the other games that still are not allowing us to get into that cross-platform arena. The news that I really quite like today, and I want to explore those further, is coming from IGN.com, and they said Samsung's massive 110-inch micro LED TV is finally coming out for regular customers this year. I don't understand it. 110-inch micro? What is going on? Samsung has been showing off its massive wall-sized micro LED TV at CES since 2018, but now the company is finally ready to sell these massive screens to regular customers. Okay. Available in 88 inch I have seen in London. There is PC World and Curry's outside of Warren Street Tube Station. It's at the end of Tottenham Court Road, and you will be able to try some of those big ones. The biggest one I've seen there was 88 screen, and it was an LED one. It was earlier this year, I think before the pandemic. I popped in and had a look, and it's very, very impressive. The picture quality is absolutely mouth-watering. So this one 110 is a bit bigger, but pretty similar to the one I've watched, the one I've seen. And I think the idea is that these ones need to be hanging on the wall. But I'm a bit, hanging on the wall. It's tricky. These tellies are quite heavy, and there's always an issue whether you need to have like proper mounts for them not to fall and everything else. But anyway, let's see what to say. Available in 88, 99 and 110-inch series. Samsung's micro LED TV's feature is a 99% screen to body ratio, so you really are just getting a silver of bezel with all that screen space. As the name micro LED might suggest, these TVs utilize much smaller LEDs. They're also self-illuminating, so they can produce perfect blacks and contrast like OLED 4K. Well, that's interesting. Cinema black is extremely important if you watch films. Of course, having a really big screen at home, cinema black is still not properly evolved for the 4K projectors in cinemas. When you watch films which are taking place at night, you can't really see things properly. It's all kind of shady and a bit greyish, bluish. I guess this television set will provide a big world of difference. Of course, having a really big screen at home is great for stimulating the movie theater experience. You can also split any of these micro LED TVs into 4 smaller displays. In fact, the 110-inch screen can become 4 neatly separated 55-inch displays, perfect for split-screen Mario Kart. It's incredible, isn't it? Because the telly I've got is 55-inch, so is that going to be 4 of these? Oh, that's astonishing. That's massive. That's I'm just looking at. Oh, that's going to be half of my wall. You need to see it in real life as well. Samsung has yet to give a firm date of when these micro LED TVs will release or pricing information, but you should definitely expect an eye-popping sticker price on these massive displays. Yeah, almost certainly. Bear with me. We'll be back very, very shortly. We hear that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order gets PS5 patch, adds 60 FPS support. Well, we've heard with the new consoles we are getting 120 FPS support, so that's really truly astonishing. And it's very good for smooth gameplay, particularly in those games where you have a lot of activity and action, like flying and racing and all sorts, running. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is one of the best games from a galaxy far, far away, and that special experience just got even better on PS5. Developer Respawn Entertainment has issued an update that allows the game to run and look a lot better on Sony's latest machine. The patch is available to download right now if you have got your new console set up. The headline edition is 60 frames per second support. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order ran at 30 FPS on a base PlayStation 4 and fluctuated between 45 and 50 frames per second on PlayStation 4 Pro. So this is a nice upgrade on PS5. Also, post-processing has been increased to 1440p, while dynamic resolution has been disabled. Instead of sitting somewhere between 810 and 1080, the game will now render at rock solid 1200. That is extraordinary. Well, if you are doing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, if you are still a fan, make sure you download the patch. Nvidia reveals its cheapest RTX 30 series card yet. We talked about another yesterday that was recommended, and that also required a big water cooler together with it. So this one is CES, no, that's not CES, it's RTX 3060. It's the cheapest RTX 30 series card yet, and they said the fourth card in Nvidia's desktop Ampere one is one of its most affordable and confusing yet. They revealed its fourth graphics card in the growing RTX 30 series line, and it's the cheapest card in the range yet, and will launch later in February. Right, so what's the price? Starting at $329. Okay, so that's reasonable. And they also announced a new range of laptop GPUs taking advantage of the company's new Ampere architecture, as well as a handful of titles that will get DLSS and ray tracing support soon. Well, you know, for people who are dedicated PC veterans, this is making a world of difference, because you play PUBG, for instance, it looks incredible. I just, before running my broadcast today, I had a look at the current streamers, and Danus D, one of our friends from Baltic Republics, who is an avid fan of FPS games, plays Apex and PUBGs every single day. She was I mean, I just had a look, and I can really tell that the computer that she has is the latest state-of-the-art computer with one of those processors. It just looks incredibly fast, very, very smooth, and razor sharp. So when I compare the performance of her PUBG on her system with mine on Xbox, it is beyond comparison, honestly. Mine is so slow and so choppy, the frame rate's not particularly good. That's not to do with the console, it's to do with the developer, because they created the game especially for PCs initially. You know, it was basically proprietary to the platform, and they did not invest enough in their console version. So, you know, the frame rate drops, it just feels very patchy and choppy. It just doesn't, you know, doesn't really feel right, and that is where the difference really is. So if you are one of the PC gamers, then you want to have those wonderful NVIDIA processors, and make sure that you consider the very best one for the types of games that you are going to be entertaining. Very important for streamers. If you're on a PC, you want to have the best possible processor, because if you're plugging in your consoles as well to play, let's say, PS4, 5 or Xbox One exclusives, then you really need to have that processing power. Very, very important, otherwise the picture will not be good enough, or you have lag, or all other kinds of issues. We heard that Elder Scrolls 6 Starfield will not be impacted by Indiana Jones game. They said, fear not, Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield fans, Bethesda's upcoming Indiana Jones game will not impact development timelines. Well, let us have a look. Bethesda confirms that Todd Howard's numerous projects are all getting the attention they need. Bethesda veteran Todd Howard is the executive producer on the new Indiana Jones video game that Wolfenstein Studio Machine Games is developing. Howard is also the game director of Bethesda's next-gen games Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, while he is also the executive producer of the Fallout TV from Amazon. With so many responsibilities on his plate, people are wondering if any of his projects may well be impacted due to the Indiana Jones game. But that is not the case, according to Bethesda marketing boss Pete Hines. He said on Twitter that Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 specifically are not affected by the announcement of this new game. I have to say, Todd Howard is just excelling with all these responsibilities, and I think Bethesda is one of the industry leaders that is indeed being very, very involved with quite a variety of different activities on various platforms, and that is really truly wonderful, and that is something that I want to see unravel with other studios, because having a full connectivity with, let's say, Netflix or Amazon, they may be able to co-produce and invest a variety of different biopics or films which will be connected to video games, and that will produce a very, very wonderful variety for everyone to enjoy. So we have PlayStation boss Jim Ryan reflecting on PS5's record-breaking release. And I'm really quite curious to see what he said. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan did not have much to say during his short speech at CES 2021 this week. Nevertheless, the company Push Square embedded his segment above you. As previously reported, he teased more upcoming film and television projects based on first-party properties, and also reiterated that the PlayStation 5 was the biggest console launch of all times. Outside of that, the Big Wig simply reiterated that the organization is committed to telling stories, and it aims to bring a variety of different experiences to the PS5 through both its first-party teams and publishing partners. Business as usual then, but we are looking forward to what the months ahead will bring. Well, they're keeping really cards close to their chest, because they've not released that many games initially with the console, and we are hotly anticipating some of the titles, and I think quite frankly we are looking at a difference in performance on both consoles, but at the same time both consoles are here to remain. Each company will present us with something really novel, innovative and engaging, and therefore we are going to be able to enjoy the products and the services for many, many years to come. I think the comparisons, and particularly the rumors that are spreading through social networking, are ill-conceived and unjustified. I find both of my consoles to be working perfectly, and they're compatible. Basically, what you get on PlayStation Now, you will not be getting on Xbox Game Pass. It's as simple as that, and vice versa. And that is the way it needs to be. Also, the difference there is quite significant, with Xbox releasing several models of console at once, like for instance S and X models, and they're also tailored to people's preferences. The vast majority of people will be buying the S model. It is offered on half price basically, and it is very, very small. It's pocket size. You can take it wherever you go with you, and that will provide you with instant access to your games, to your library, to xCloud, to everything else. I think PlayStation is still going to be a console that is primarily home based, and you will be looking at good setups with, for instance, that I've got here with Sony Bravia TVs and all the other equipment, and therefore they'll be looking at a very high quality, one platform, one setup experience. So you can choose accordingly. My recommendation to everyone is basically get both consoles, subscribe to both services. You'll be able to enjoy them everything at once, and it's not that expensive, I have to say. Obviously the consoles will cost you quite a bit, but don't forget they last you for more than a decade, and the services, the subscriptions, the streaming services are offered on very, very good prices, and therefore easily accessible to us all. It's a myth that you will pay a lot of money. I mean, 1,000 games instantly accessible, and I pay £20 a month for two services combined. It's a no-brainer. And if you want to try Xbox Game Pass, 3 months for $1. I mean, if you don't take up this offer, you're not a serious video gaming fan. It's as simple as that. Alright, a couple of more bits of news. Portal 2 fans are making an all-new campaign, and Kotaku is telling us a bit more about it. And let us have a look. Desolation is a Portal 2 mod, though that descriptor really sets it short. It's closer to a full-blown fan-made sequel to Valve's series, set a few hundred years after Portal 2, and in a part of Aperture Labs that dates back to the 1980s. It's starred Diana. It's fitted with Aperture's brace cybernetic system, featuring a suite of robotic upgrades, including an integrated portal device. When a relentless threat emerges, she must embark on a perilous journey that will see her uncover Aperture's mysterious past, and maybe even face of her own. While this is very, very far from done, it's being worked on by some Portal 2 mod scene veterans, and is looking and sounding, with its dynamic soundtrack, very, very professional. It's sounding very, very good. Psychonauts 2 director has written his final line of dialogue for the game. So let me see what they say on Game Rant. As you know, I use a variety of different online video gaming hubs. They include Push Square, Games Radar, Games Rant, and all the other ones. They provide us with latest kind of hot off the press news every single day, and I'm very grateful to all of their postings online. They make a world of difference to us all, and I've never been better informed about everything that's happening in entertainment industries ever. You know, in the old days, I would buy Variety and Entertainment Weekly, and I would buy the Hollywood Reporter and Screen Daily, and all of these types of magazines. And today, that's no longer necessary. They're all online. You get the information on Twitter, and also the information is interactive. You can click on clips. You can watch interviews. You can read articles. So it is just literally raising the bar. It's delivered on a different level. Psychonauts 2's creative director Tim Schafer announces he has finished writing the final line of dialogue for the upcoming sequel. Very, very excited about the game as well. Very, very funny, very entertaining, all-generation game, very family-friendly. Game development is a long and arduous process for developers to complete, and this goes double for the long-awaited sequel Psychonauts 2. As the sequel to the original Psychonauts, the 3D platformer has been in development for quite some time now, and Double Fine has been making steady progress with the game. So it started out with a crowdfunded campaign back in 2015, and it reached its goals with much fan support, and Double Fine is using everything to make the game as great as possible. Since then, the developer has kept its fans and supporters up to date on the game's development progress and delays with various developer updates and videos. Recently, the game's creative director and writer Tim Schafer tweeted that he finished writing the final line of dialogue for Psychonauts 2 last week and wanted to briefly celebrate. Well, that's very, very good. We want to see that. You can also access his tweet, and the information is on my Twitter, coming from Game Rant. Paul Tassi tells us there is a secret Destiny 2 tunnel in the European Dead Zone that you can only be opening with your Hawk Moon. Hawk Moon is that gun that you are getting, one of the exotic weapons. He says in his Forbes article, I was not expecting to find a post-reset secret when I woke up this morning, as those are usually found pretty quickly, like Croy's feathered ship from yesterday. I do not know who found this first, nor do I really even understand how it was found, but I can confirm that this is real and potentially very exciting, even if the find appears to be dead end for now. There is a new secret tunnel that is accessible from a fireplace in the European Dead Zone, seen above. He posted some screenshots. You can only break into using Hawk Moon. I'm not 100% sure if this is new for reset or if somebody just found out about it now, but regardless, it's the first anyone has seen of it. So it's giving you a good description, an in-depth description on what you need to do in order to discover that secret passage. And you need to be using that exotic weapon, so all of our Destiny veterans and fans will be familiar with this. I'll tell Sekopoop about this. I'll actually send him the article very, very shortly to Discord, because I know he will be very, very curious and very excited about this. We'll end our news broadcast today with very, very exciting news, also coming from PlayStation, and we have heard a little while back that they were preparing Little Nightmares 2 demo available to PS5 and PS4 users, and I just downloaded yesterday, or day before yesterday, the original game that was given to us free of charge on Xbox Live Gold. So it's truly wonderful for me to be able to try out this new demo on PlayStation 4 and present it here through DRBMiller introducing sessions. And we are going to be looking forward to this because Little Nightmares is a delightful game and very, very entertaining. So let us see what they told us about the demo as well. It's coming, the information is coming to us through pushsquare.com. Ahead of release next month, you can now download a Little Nightmares 2 demo on both PlayStation 5 and 4 to get a sense of what's up in the sequel. It is available from the PlayStation Store as we speak, from today, with PS5 owners able to sample the bite-sized playable teaser via backwards compatibility. The listing describes what's in store. This demo will let you discover the wilderness and its bloodthirsty resident, the Hunter, for a taste of the adventures awaiting you in the full game. EU players can use this link, which they're stating in here, and they've got another link for the US. And they said the full game is less than a month away now, and it is 11th of February 2021 release dates. That draws ever closer, so you will be checking out this demo as soon as possible That's the question you're going to be checking out, and stick together in the comments below. So they want you to be providing them with a feedback, and I want to stress that it's very important for everyone to do that. If you're doing a demo, or if you're looking at something which is offered within a format of alpha and beta, when you're testing the game before it's released, you've got to be writing comments, because that's all that matters. If you're a dedicated gamer, go to Reddit, find one of the threads dedicated to that particular alpha coming from the developer, and then post the comments. Make them short, crisp, and highly educated. Don't waffle, don't write like a Bible-sized type of thesis, because nobody will read it. But make bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I like this, I dislike that, and they will be greatly appreciated. Don't forget, sometimes they reward people who write feedback, and sometimes people who contribute on a regular basis are being spotted, because obviously the regular gamer tag or name will be popping up, and they will notice very, very good, very in-depth comments and views, which are greatly appreciated. You'll get rewards. They will reward you without any advanced warnings, so to speak, because they'll be looking for the regular contributors, and you may get other offers. So it's definitely a very good way of doing it. I know that not many people are contributing on Reddit for whatever reason, and you can choose the developer thread. That's very important. Don't just write anywhere, but go to the developer thread. Like, for instance, you want to talk about Elder Scrolls, you'll go to Bethesda thread, right, and find the thread in there and communicate, and you'll get other people coming in and connecting with you as well. Alright, so that is a very, very good news. Like I said, we'll do a demo of Little Nightmares shortly, probably within this week, here on my channel, part of DRBMiller Introducing. We'll carry on with Call to Sea very, very shortly, and I just want to tell you, in view of some of the questions we had earlier this week, there were people asking about Destiny. When is Destiny going to be back on the channel? And I said I'm still waiting for cross-platform to take hold, and I talked to other veterans of my community, primarily people who are presently playing in Warzone with me about Destiny, and we have several who are quite interested, and we have Sekapup also, who is becoming a veteran Warzone in addition to Destiny as well. And I think we probably will have a team of 3, Spurs, Sekapupu and myself, who are definitely going to be doing some exploration of Destiny to universe as it stands today. And I have to say, because Spurs is on PlayStation, it's likely we'll do our streams and all the activities on PS. The only trouble there is I don't have all the expansions on PS, as they are provided free of charge on the pack that I access through Game Pass on Xbox. But we may be then, instead of going through Beyond Light, we are going to be looking at creating a new character, and then literally starting from ground up. And that will be very good, because the game's been reworked, and I'm sure lots of people will be quite curious and interested to see what Destiny 2 looks like in its new format, the new format that's been introduced since the release of Beyond Light, since 10th of November. So I'm personally very excited about it. Just leave it with me for a couple of days. I need to discuss it with our friends. We need to find a time where all three of us, I should say, could be easily available, and therefore we can do a nice session of 3 to 4 hours of Destiny exploration, and we'll start on a new character. I really want to build my Hunter and Titan in Destiny 2, as you're obviously familiar with my previous Destiny 1 streams. I have all 3 characters there, and in this instance I have just one, and Destiny 1 was always the priority game for many, many months, but certainly during the last year we kind of reversed somewhat, and we gone to Destiny 2 in view of everything that was being worked on, and we wanted to join our communities together, but that didn't happen. People from Destiny 1 did not migrate to Destiny 2, and we didn't really manage to have that degree of continuity. So I'm hoping that with cross-platform integration, that indeed will take place. So watch this space for a lot more of Destiny and a lot more of our community input. I really want our community effort in Destiny to be always based on a 3-man team, which is what I had in the original game. I've got to say, Destiny 2 I've played lots of the times by myself, and that's no fun. That's no fun, because the game's not been created for kind of solo gamers. It is indeed one of those that provides you the best possible opportunity to bring a community together and have a lot of fun when you do all these activities within a team of 3 or 6, indeed, if you are to be tackling the pinnacle activity called raids. Alright, so that's all for today. Today is Wednesday, 13th of January. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting the channel. Thank you for listening to the news. Thank you also for sending your comments and views. Didn't have many messages since yesterday, and I'm also inviting everyone to provide us with some feedback on Call of the Sea. Call of the Sea will be streaming within the next 10 minutes as part of the DRBMiller Introducing. This game is being also given to us as the Game of the Week on Xbox Game Club, and I really want to ask people to forward comments and views on the game. It is a very, very beautifully created adventure stroke RPG stroke puzzler, and we want to get some views and thoughts to the developer for them to feel supported by our community. Take some screenshots, post them to Twitter, talk a bit about the game, make sure that others get to know more about it, and we'll be all very, very grateful. So on that note, I'll thank you all for coming, and I wish you all a very good afternoon. Also stay with us for first of all DRBMiller Introducing, which is going to be commencing very shortly. We'll stream Call of the Sea, and then after that, around 5 o'clock, we will have Warzone sessions as usual. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you all later.